we are very, very blessed to have someone to discuss how we can heal cognition, heal the mind, heal the body, heal the soul, heal all those things and integrate it into one productive path toward recovery. So I would like to please join me and give a brain injury welcome to I have Oasis Spall. Yeah. Welcome,
Hey,
welcome,
welcome.
welcome, sir.
Awesome. Awesome.
Aloha.
Thank you so much. Can you hear me fine? Just a quick audio check.
Check, check. Yes.
Great. Excellent. Well, thank you all so much for welcoming me to this beautiful community. I got to listen to you guys talk. And that was really, really amazing to see how tight-knit everybody is and how supportive everybody is of one another. That's always the key to healing and wellness. So let me get right into it. Some of the stuff that I'm going to talk about. Daniel gave a really good introduction right now. So my name is Oasis, pronounced like Oasis without the is. My health practice is called Integrative Oasis. And I am a functional health practitioner. And I combine Ayurveda, functional medicine, and strategic biohacking, if people are familiar with the term biohacking, which just means like utilizing these technologies to optimize brain and gut function, because the gut and brain are deeply, deeply interconnected. So that's really what my specialty is as a practitioner. Okay. So Dan, you can see it. You guys can see it just fine?
Yes, sir.
Awesome. Great. So some of the things we're going to talk about, neurogenesis. My background was as a researcher in the cannabis space, working on chronic pain management with cannabis-based medicines, and then optimization. Optimization just means to not get people to feeling better, but to optimize. So, a lot of the allopathic mainstream medicine is about, let's get you to feel less bad. Let's remove this problem. That's not how my practice works. I want to optimize and maximize your mental and physical performance. So let's kind of just get right into it. So this is just a little explanation of what is conventional medicine. I want to compare it with functional medicine because a lot of people don't know what functional medicine means. So that's just a cute little meme on the side there that I really like. It's we've all had this experience. We go to the doctor, my stomach hurts. The doctor says you're lying. They smile at each other, and then the doctor gives you a $50,000 bill. Certainly had that experience as someone who dealt with gut issues for years. so, so allopathy, it means to
be a Mac, I said how many rows?
it means to get someone away from a disease state without really treating the core of that issue. That is the mainstream medical system's actual basis. When you go to a doctor, they are medical doctors board certified in allopathic medicine. I was blown away to see that allopathy actually means to just treat something at the surface level. So then, if you're sick, they give you painkillers, they give you something to treat it at the surface level, not dig at the root cause. So let's see here. So this is another just meme that I really like, just looking at our psychiatric care model, that's not good. And here's a bill, a $3,000 bill. So then
I like you. Pardon me, it's Roshana. I like your laugh, but you sound, Bruce Lipton of Bruce Lipton.
Yes,
for
absolutely.
Any book readers, Bruce Lipton is a dynamic speaker and a great scientist in all of this, what you're talking about. So kudos to you.
Yeah, absolutely. Love Bruce's work, and we're actually going to tie that in a few slides down the road. So functional medicine, it kind of, what we do is we look at the root causes of these disease states. We have certain health impairments. We want to dig deep. We want to find out what's really going on. What can we fix, to eliminate that symptom from arising in the first place, instead of just masking the symptom with band-aids. Just to give you a brief overview of that functional piece. And then here's another kind of picture that really lays it out. In my work, it's very digestive, hormone-based, immune. These three are some of the core things. And then we kind of resolve these things up here, instead of using statins for heart disease, instead of using immune suppressants for autoimmune disease, instead of using opioids for multiple sclerosis. We can resolve things by looking actually deeper. So in the TBI community, one of the topics is your neurological health. That seems to be something people want to optimize. And one of the really interesting things, transformations, some would call it a revolution that's happened in 2020 and now 2021, is this doctor called Dale Bredesen. He launched his book called The End of Alzheimer's, and now there's Bredesen trained clinics all over the United States where they are not only reversing but preventing Alzheimer's and neurodegenerative diseases. And the research at Bredesen-based practices is mind-boggling. So what we're finding is, by detoxing the brain appropriately, we will find mold spores in the brain, we'll find heavy metals in the brain, we'll find aluminum and these other toxins. With strategic lab testing, we can find that. And then what these toxins are doing is they're increasing those amyloid plaques that are forming in the neural tissue that is causing neurological dysfunction. And I think when we're talking about optimizing brain function, in my health practice, I find that a lot of people will end up having these toxins and toxin exposures in their past. And unfortunately, the allopathic medical model never really addresses these things. They don't run these tests. They don't cover these tests. So when people come to me and we run these tests, I'm surprised to find high levels of mercury, all these other neurotoxins in people. And I want to get them out as quickly as possible so that we can then actually work to optimize your brain function, instead of this battle against these toxins that are very deteriorating to the body. So from there, I kind of want to go into gut function, right? What are some superficial exterior signs of gut function? Well, bloating, belly fat can be linked, low energy, some of these other symptoms that you're reading here. In my practice, I notice a lot of skin issues. A lot of people come to me and they're like, hey, I have skin issues. I think it may be related to my gut health to begin with. And oftentimes it is. We run some panels. We find out they have parasites, fungi, yeast. We have to rebalance that, and then we see the elimination of these symptoms. So an interesting study in 2017 found we actually have fungi that lives in our brain, fungal organisms, Candida. They actually have a healthy role in our brain tissue. But what's end up happening is, people usually, some of you may have had chronic yeast infection. Some of you may have had a fungal infection. It can get overgrown in the body, and those organisms can cross the blood-brain barrier. So they start in the gut, they end up in the brain. So really, in a brief nutshell, some of the stuff that we want to do when we're trying to remediate these issues is support the intestinal barrier, which can increase a lot of these healthy functions, increase nutrient absorption. Some of you may have heard the term leaky gut. That's kind of become a popular term now. Leaky gut kind of just means that your gut barrier, the lining in your gut tissue, is kind of weak. And we want to strengthen that, because when it's weak, those nutrients are not being absorbed. It's causing inflammation. So supporting the barrier supports the microbiome, supports the immune system. So when COVID first hit, people were reaching out to me asking me, Oasis, how do I optimize my immune system? And honestly, the main thing that I did with people was support their barrier function, get that tight gut function so we're absorbing nutrients, immune systems optimized. So now I want to kind of talk about this amazing concept, this moment of time we're living in where anything is possible. Anything is possible. I completely have had my paradigms of thinking transformed, thinking what can the human brain do? What can the human being do? What can a person that's had traumatic brain injury, that the doctors are telling them, you cannot do this, you cannot do that, how far are they really able to come? So this is another part of my experience, and this is another part of my passion, is this topic of neurogenesis. So I'm currently consulting a Canadian research company that is using plant medicines like magic mushrooms, psilocybin, LSD, combining small doses of that with plant compounds like brain boosting herbs. What we get when we combine those together is we're able to regenerate neurons and brain synapses. Neurogenesis means the regeneration of neurons. Synaptogenesis means the regeneration of brain synapses, the spaces between where the neurons are connecting. So these concepts get really tricky. So I just wanted to start with a quote by this researcher, Brant Courtwright. Passively consuming media is killer for synaptogenesis and for neurogenesis. What does that mean? He's trying to get you to realize, people ask him all the time, how can I increase my synaptogenesis? How can I build more neuronal connections so that I'm smarter, thinking faster, I'm able to do more things? The first thing that he tells people is what things are harmful for that. So when you're on your phone scrolling through Instagram, I'm guilty of this myself. You know, Instagram is designed for you to get addicted to it. That's what social media is. That is harming your synapses. That is harming your ability to make new synapses. And there's research to back this up. We want to replace that with mental puzzles. We want to replace that with challenging scenarios for the brain so that we can grow synapses instead of shrinking them. Unfortunately, the brain has those two states. It's either in this expansive mode or it is kind of baseline or shrinking mode. So like right now, you're listening to me talk, your neurons are expanding, your synapses are expanding, because these are kind of complex ideas. Some of you may be familiar with, but you're thinking about it in a different way. So you're forming new synapses in your brain. Nutrition and lifestyle provides the raw materials so that we can build those new synapses, build those new neurons and connections. And my research with this Canadian company, it's, you know, I'm kind of their principal investigator in terms of helping them figure out the right nutrient supplement combinations that we can use to enhance brain function. We're taking this so far where I set really high expectations for this population, and we're working with Canadian veterans and other people who have traumatic brain injury. We'll set some goals for what's possible, and with the lifestyle plus nutrition plus supplements, people make so much rapid improvements that we constantly have to change our frame of reference. We constantly have to rethink just what's possible. It's incredible. I think we are living in this moment, which is the neurogenesis revolution. And it's really incredible. So what is neuroplasticity? And, you know, forgive me if these are concepts that you all have talked about a lot already. Some of you all may have done some of this work yourself, but for those that don't know, this is going to be very helpful. So Norman Deutsch was a very important and influential researcher we used to say that when somebody has traumatic brain injury, that nothing, that the brain is static. There was a lot of research done in Italy in the early 20th century, and I was blown away. I've been reading this research just to understand how the way we used to think, and researchers would actually say the brain is static. Once things happen to it, that's the way that it is. Once you are an adult, your brain stays the same way. That was very harmful to veterans, to people who've experienced brain injury, because it was telling them that you have to live with it and deal with it. We're going to separate you from society, right? We've seen the documentaries of what happened to people who came back from war and things like that. So Norman Deutsch comes around in the 90s. This is very, very recent work. He's looking at mice studies and seeing that we can change the brains of these mice using the right exercises and approaches. Then he looks at stroke victims who've lost part of the functioning in their body. And he's also combining this with EEGs that are electrodes connected to the brain. So we're measuring brain activity or stimulating the brain directly. That image that you see there on my screen is a woman who lost function in, what do you call it, the left side of her body. So she's mostly in her day-to-day activity using her right side, right? She goes around and she's doing everything with her right hand. So what Norman Deutsch makes her do is, because she's using her right hand, when that lady walks into the clinic with him, she has to put a mitten on her right hand and only use her left hand for all the activities that he's going to have her do. In the beginning, this is very painful for people to do. This is now standard of care for stroke patients. This is required when you have a stroke or other types of brain injury. This is the first thing that happens. Some of you may have experienced this yourself. So then
are you talking about, I'm sorry, you're talking about ambidexterity, like forcing yourself through the pain to go beyond it and use both hands?
Not quite. So ambidexterity refers to being able to use both hands. What we're trying to do is this is called restraint-induced neuroplasticity. We're trying to take, like, for example, this lady's using her right hand. We're putting a mitten on her right hand, making her write with her other hand, making her do puzzles with her other hand. When she's doing all of that, that's forcing that other part of that brain to work. So there's all these other exercises you're doing, like you have to lift things up, you have to put these blocks in certain patterns. And in the beginning, it's very challenging, but over the months that these people are coming in, they end up being able to use that other hand super efficiently. And she went from not being able to use her other hand, her left hand, which was limp. Her left hand was limp. She would keep it in her pocket, walking around day to day, do everything with her right hand, to having restored 75 to 85% function in that hand. Now she can use both hands for picking things up and things like that. That's called restraint-induced neuroplastic retraining. Some practitioners have used that idea and they call it cognitive mittens. And this is really incredible stuff, which is, instead of like you putting a mitten on that hand, we're doing neural exercises where you're not allowed to think about a certain thing. And I don't want to oversimplify this framework. One of these frameworks is dynamic neural retraining by Annie Hopper. What Annie Hopper found is, and I went through Annie Hopper's program myself. I had some trauma growing up in Pakistan. I fell into boiling water. So that's with water, but it's like I had third, fourth degree burns, lower part of my body. I dealt with the physical trauma and the pain for most of my life. I've dealt with that. So I went through Annie Hopper's dynamic neural retraining program to help me restore my nervous system. And what she makes you do in a nutshell, and I don't want to oversimplify it, is you're putting a blockage on certain thought patterns. There's these negative thought loops that have been created. She teaches you how to stop those thought loops and only entertain thought loops of what you can do and practicing certain types of gratitude. And that helps you restore function and wholeness in the world and how you're being. So, gratitude, psychedelic assisted psychotherapy, that's what all of these things are doing. They're really just getting your brain to think bigger than it really is capable of. Neuroplasticity is so powerful. People will lose a certain portion of their brain, and other parts of the brain will take up that function. So our brain is truly trying to adapt. We wouldn't have made it this far in evolution if we didn't have this powerful mind, body, spirit. So, just that's a really important thing to understand. We are all powerful. We are all healers of ourselves. And, we have really incredible things in our bodies. So, here's a picture of Wim Hof. For those that don't know, Wim Hof is the Iceman. I'm sure many of you know who Wim Hof is. He is considered a prophet of health. He's recognized as beyond human for the healing that he's initiated. He takes a lot of sick people with various health issues, and he would take them into icy waters, teach them certain breathing patterns. Through these breathing patterns, through this ice immersion, they're able to get really powerful neurological transformations. And, their body would change. Like, a lot of people beat autoimmune diseases. A lot of people beat cancer, just from the powerful healing that was initiated. And that's all mind, body, spirit related. We can go into the science of the vagal tone. We can go into the science of what's happening, but just to emphasize the power that healing can allow. When I was really sick, honestly, a lot due to the trauma that I induced of being boiled as a kid, led to a lot of sicknesses throughout my life. I didn't have My hormones were so incredibly low, all my hormones, that some doctors really thought that, I'm not going to make it that far. It was one of those things where I was told certain things about what I can do, what I can't do. You can't go into cold and hot temperature. You don't have the hormones for it. And if I had listened to that mindset and the approach in mainstream medicine, I wouldn't have made it this far today. Today, every day I do two things. I have a sauna, so I go into my hot sauna, hot as possible, and then I go and I practice. I live next to the ocean, so I'll either go take a swim in cold water or as cold as I can get my shower. So hot and cold. I've restored so much of my nervous system health and function doing this. These are pictures of people training and being healthy and strong. And it just kind of is a reminder we can all be healthy and strong in our own ways, and achieve that with the right approaches. So I want to bring it all together, and then I've laid out so much information. I want to leave room for discussion and dialogue afterwards. So what is my approach in my health practice? I gave you all so much information. I've worked through so many different theories in how we improve health. I find that so much begins in the gut. Our gut is the roots of our tree, of our health tree. So what we found in a lot of the Bredesen protocol that I mentioned for Alzheimer's and neurological rehabilitation is our brain likes to be in a ketogenic state. Our brain likes fat more than sugar. Even if you're consuming a lot more carbohydrates, your brain is trying to turn the fat into fuel because that's what it wants to use. So that's why in Europe, a lot of European researchers have found that the fat adapted diet called ketosis is essential for neurological health. So for me, I really think that figuring out how to optimize blood sugar, ketosis doesn't work for everybody. I mean, you can see me on Zoom. I'm a very thin guy. I can't be in a ketogenic state all the time. I would disappear, you know? So I have to consume carbohydrates throughout my day. So I balance my blood sugars to improve my brain function. And then we want to do fasting to clean the house. The head is the house as well. Whatever is left over in the liver that the liver wasn't able to detox goes to the brain, you know? So then I want to remove toxic and inflammatory foods. I want to rebalance your gut. I call it the remove, reinoculate, replenish. Let's get rid of the bad bugs. Let's add in good bugs and prebiotics. There's something called the psychobiome. The psychobiome is the interaction of your gut microbes and your brain. So this is a new concept that's emerging area of research. Most of your neurotransmitters are made in the gut. I don't know if you all knew this. 80% of your neurotransmitters are made in your gut. So if your gut isn't healthy, you're going to have anxiety, you're going to have neurological distress. So we want to add in, remove the bad bugs, add in the good bugs, add in prebiotics, replenish with a new ecosystem so that your brain and your body can thrive just like nature intended. Then in addition to that, what I like to do is I want to optimize your lifestyle. Let's get in the right neuroplastic based training program. We all need it. This world has made us super stressed out. Our nervous systems are fried. We're overstressed. We're overworking. There's no balance of relaxation. So let's bring, this is a picture of someone meditating on the mountains. Let's bring that calm energy, start our day with it, end our day with it, so we can have it throughout the day. I guide people through that. Mindfulness is not an option, it's a way of life. Let's clean up the environment. We call them now in the research dementogens because they are toxins that are linked to dementia. So researchers have a way of helping us understand these concepts so that we can understand the association. So like a lot of synthetic fragrances, like those scented candles that are not naturally based, they're dementogens, meaning they're linked to toxins that we're finding in dementia research. So let's eliminate those, let's clean up that environment. And then another component, sometimes I will do plant medicine, is referring to psychedelic medicine. It's not something I always find necessary. People get really excited about it, but sometimes it is really helpful to rebuild those neural connections. And I do that with clients using microdoses of psilocybin mushrooms, and then using that to get back into the trauma body and break up those trauma bonds. So we start with the gut, we kind of optimize brain function, then we get to a place we can be in the world in a peaceful, mindful state, restore function, because the end of the day, the goal is for you to live your best life possible. It's to be more present in with our family, our friends, our community, be more present in a more peaceful state. We all deserve that. you know. Unfortunately, our health gets put into the back burner, and that's a really sad thing. I've experienced that myself, you know. We try to get a job that can make money and then put our health on the back end. So let's put our health first so that we can live our best lives, be peaceful, be one with our communities, and live aligned, beautiful lives. So thank you all very, very much. Very much appreciate the opportunity to present here. This is it for my talking portion, and now I want to open it up to questions and dialogue.
All right,
This is
perfect. Well,
Roshana.
awesome.
Oops.
Thank you so very much, Oasis. That was fantastic. Really talking about the connection between creating new pathways. The brain that we have, or that you have, is not the brain that you're stuck with, right? And so that whole part, right, is really such an important. Like you were saying, we're in a day and age where neuroplasticity age, where basically a lot is happening. Anything is possible. The frontier is wide open. And so, with that said, thank you very much. Do we have any questions here for Oasis?
Yes, this is Roshana.
Yes, please.
Oasis, hi, hello. Thank you for such gracious, humble gifting. You brought me to tears, dude.